So today is our third lecture, and Itihasa Saptaha's 17th lecture is being given by Dr. Niyati Mishra ma'am, Head and Associate Professor, Department of Geography, Government Arts College, Gandhinagar, Gujarat. Ma'am is going to talk on the title A Geo-Socio-Historical Perspective of Adverse Sex Ratio in India with special reference to Gujarat. I warmly welcome you, ma'am, to this session. It's a pleasure and honor to have you with us. Thank you so much for accepting our invitation, ma'am. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Nit. Thank you, Niti.
Uh,
And yeah, should
yes,
I
ma'am.
share my?
Just
Should I
one
share
minute.
my?
I
No,
think
ma'am. We will just introduce you in brief. After that, you can share your screen. Now, I
Fine.
request Ms. Manali Mumaya to introduce Dr. Niyati Mishra, ma'am.
thank you so much, dear Nidhi. It is Dr. Niyati Mistry correcting you here. Yes, I also want to thank on this occasion Shri Nandan Shastri sir for recommending such a wonderful speaker for our today's session. And I take this opportunity to briefly introduce Dr. Niyati Mistry, a geographer by training. Dr. Niyati Mistry has been teaching at graduate and postgraduate level since June 1992. That is the last 31 years. And her area of specialization is gender geography, which, as students of history, is very, very new to us, ma'am. She's a visiting faculty at the School of Liberal Studies, PDEU, Gandhinagar, and Indian Institute of Teachers Education, Gandhinagar. Apart from teaching, she has been entrusted with various administrative responsibilities by the Department of Higher Education, Government of Gujarat, including the in charge principalship of Government Arts College, Gandhinagar, for 5 years. She is a chairperson, Board of Studies at Hemchandracharya North Gujarat University, Patan, which is near Ahmedabad. She's a member of Board of Studies at the Gujarat University, Ahmedabad, and IITE, Gandhinagar. Apart from administrative responsibilities and teaching, she is involved with various community based organizations and working on women's issues and environmental conservation, climate change, and environmental geography, working closely with the Department of Climate Change of the Government of Gujarat. She has extensive experience in training youth and school teachers in Gujarat and responsible for training municipal and government school teachers on climate change in selected districts of Gujarat from 2011 to 2014. She has been a speaker in national and international conferences and was invited at Center for Environment Education as a panelist in the International Conference on Sustainable Development Goals Gender Equality jointly organized by the United Nations. She has published several articles and papers in reputed journals, and her areas of interest include gender studies, climate change, environmental issues, and geospatial technology. She has sustained her interest in literature, theatre, and yoga, and she is in pursuit of excellence, as we all are. Thank you, ma'am, for being here with us and for selecting this very wonderful and intriguing topic for your lecture. I do not want to cause any more delays. I now request Dr. Niyati Mistry to please begin her lecture. Thank you.
Thank you, Momaya. Thank you, Manali. And I'll share my screen now.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Ma'am, please make it entire screen so that you can do the slide share.
No, this is a PDF. I think there won't be any problem.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Is it visible now?
Yes, ma'am, it's visible.
Fine. Fine. Okay. Thanks for introducing me and inviting me. I'm very happy to be here with you. Let me begin with congratulating Manali and Nidhi and entire team for organizing Itihas Saptaha. You know, organizing a one-day seminar is a task, and this is a Herculean task organizing it for 7 days. And again, in lines with new education policy, this is something very interesting. Uh, Multidisciplinary, interdisciplinary, you have woven number of disciplines here. Theme is also very relevant, rewriting her story. So I'm really happy to be here with you. You have all heard stories of women in scripture, literature, archaeology, museum, health. Today, in next 30 to 40 minutes, 35 to 40 minutes, I'll be talking about women in demography. Now, what is demography? Demography is a science of population. A composition of any population is very important. It's a size, density, fertility, mortality, sex ratio, literacy, migration, because it indicates towards the socio-cultural and economic processes. And establishing the entity of nation, it is a very vital element. Gender composition is also again a very important indicator. I would begin with a few definitions. Sex ratio is defined as a number of females per thousand males as per census of India. Adverse means not in favor of females or skewed. Now question arises. Biological fact is that very few people know about this, that biologically there are more male births at the time of birth globally. So this is a global phenomenon. But there is a strong, females are stronger than males. At the survival, after the birth, there are more male baby deaths due to any reasons, ailment or any other complications. So when I make the statement, I should be saying that then there has to be a more number of female in a population. Yes, at the time of birth, there are more males, but they don't survive for long. Females being constitutionally stronger, they survive. But if you see in a population, you come to know that end of the day, there are less number of females in any population. Why? We are going to talk about it today. Why? As we are all historians, I will begin with the archival overview. Archival records on a female infanticide in colonial rule tells us about caste and region which practice female infanticide. A noted scholar, Alice Vishwanath, in his work mentions that in December 1789, Jonathan Duncan, the British resident at the Banaras, first found female infanticide among Rajkumar Rajputs in Jaunpur district of Banaras division. He discovered it while touring the region for a revenue purpose. Since then, Rajput in North, West, and Central India, comprising of undivided Punjab, Rajasthan, UP, Malwa, and Saurashtra, were reported as a caste with high practice of female infanticide. In 1817, British official noticed that Jadejas, a Rajput clan in Gujarat, there were villages and blocks without any female children. 1856, an official investigating female infanticide in Banaras division again, he found after census in 418 villages that Rajput female children were deficit in 308 villages, and around 62 villages did not have a single female children. These were not the only caste. There were other castes. As per the archival records, Dewa Kanbis, Patidars of central Gujarat, that is Khera district, Jat, Ahirs, Gurjars, Khatris, and Moel Brahmins in North India were known for practicing female infanticide. Even Tamil Nadu, you'll be surprised to know that there are 64 documented methods of killing baby girls. This is colonial time. We come at the time 1872 when first census was conducted.
Ma'am, sorry to interrupt. Your slides are not changing. It's stagnant.
I'll change it after a while.
Sure, ma'am.
I'll change it a while. Yeah. So in 1872, after the first census, everybody realized, the social scientists realized, demographers realized that yes, the sex ratio is lower in this caste which practiced female infanticide. Till now, it was just the experiential and the records of British officials. 1921, census report has a very interesting details. The report has classified caste into two groups. A group, which has a tradition of killing daughters, practicing in female infanticides. The B group is a non-practitioner of female infanticide. Now, this is something very interesting that 1921 census has such a report and table. Now, while talking to Britishers, the people who practice infanticide, they said, because most of these groups were hypergamous groups. They wanted their daughters to marry in a higher status families, that is known as a hypergamous group. Dowry and wedding expenses were the main reasons for killing their daughters. There is an economic angle to this. Community which solely dependent on the agricultural land for the socio-economic status. For example, high status Rajputs, princes, talukdars, village level jamindars were solely dependent on the land. So obviously, when transferring the land was difficult, so they didn't want daughters. It was for good for their purse and pride. From archival records to our literature, our scriptures, we all are aware that we are always blessed. We are always been giving blessing that may you have a number of sons. May you have 100 sons. Shatabutravati Bhava. Languages. See how discrimination begins on basis of sex and gender. It is deep-rooted socio-cultural tradition which has been internalized since generations. And at every stage we see this, as rightly said, from womb to tomb, we experience this inequality. I have a slide here. It says, as a fetus, preference for male child is seen. We bless them. May you have 100 sons. Sex determination. There is a discrimination, sex selective abortions. As a girl child, she has to either she had to face infanticide, now she has to face a feticide. There is a strong preference for male child. So it is very interesting that there are still districts and blocks in country where certain things are practiced. In Satara district of Maharashtra, unwanted girls are named Nakusha. And IIPH intervened, and because of the government intervention, hundreds of girls were given different name because they used to suffer from complex. Now this is what a girl suffer. She is considered a drain on pocket. Less priority is given to her education. She has unequal access to intra-household resources. As there is a saying in Tamil, by educating or by spending money on daughter, it is like watering neighbor's garden. You use your water to water your neighbor's garden. So unfortunate. Similarly, there are phrases in Tamil and other languages, Indo-Aryan languages, for example, Sala, Sasura, which are to belittle a bride's family. You will not find such uh, slang language in southern languages because their system is endogamous. Endogamous marriages are common, or it is not out of tradition in southern part of India. When I come to map of India, I'll discuss it again. Yeah, she enters adolescent puberty. It's a sinful situation. We all know. Lack of knowledge on reproductive health. As a young woman, less access to proper information and healthcare facility, less liberty and more social control. We all talk about honesty and truth. It is one of the important values that are being just talked and being inculcated in our culture. But if a young girl, we all know, if a bride says to her husband to be that, yeah, I have had my first crush with this boy, I had a crush on this boy, do you think the family will accept him? So there is always a social control. Then there is a question of passing on the burden, marry her off. She becomes bride. Her purity is very important. She is born to satisfy household needs, pressure to prove fertility, and that is also male child unless and until she has a baby boy. She does not have that status because her cultural and social pattern is such that mother with her baby boy has a different status as a mother. She does not have any say in reproductive decisions. Childbearing too early or too many, too close, limited access, late access to healthcare. Isn't she a woman then? Human being? She's just a woman. Comes the data from 1871-72 to 2011. You will see India has always been less than normal sex ratio. Now I should clarify this. What is normal sex ratio? World over, the demographer accept 952 females per thousand male is a normal sex ratio. If per thousand males, females are less than 952, that means there is some prejudice functioning at some level. You can see most of the sex ratio data where all the decades, 100 years, the sex ratio has been less than 952. That means there is something wrong, seriously wrong with her. What is the status now? Here also you can see a very clear divide. The southern states, Kerala has the healthiest, the robust sex ratio. In case of two northern states, Uttarakhand and Himachal Pradesh, and few northeastern states, the entire country has comparatively low sex ratio. Punjab and Haryana are the worst affected. Rajasthan, Gujarat, Maharashtra, Madhya Pradesh, Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, they all have deficit. Now, when we talk about sex ratio, people will say that sex ratio is not accurate indicator because migration is also always sex selective. So we talk about child sex ratio. Child sex ratio is more accurate indicator. Child sex ratio means sex ratio of 0 to 6 years, but there is no chance of migration. Again, you see a divide. Except southern states, female children are less in number, deficit. I come to Gujarat. Sex ratio in India and Gujarat, you can compare it from 1901 to 2011. You have always, except a year in 1971 and 1981, sex ratio was lower than the national average. Now, Gujarat has been always a very progressive state, but few castes and castes which are blended castes, those who are agriculturists and have blend. What happened in Punjab and Haryana also, basically it is a prosperity model. People who have money to buy can go to any level. When there was no choice, they practice infanticide. When there is a choice, they opted for feticide. It is in 1981 that prenatal sex detection was, the technology became available and people got easy access to it. So 1990, 81 onwards, the first time it was in 1991 census that sex ratio dropped to 933 at a national level and 920 the state level. Here is a comparison graph. I'm coming to 1961 status in Gujarat. Yeah, you can see few states, a central Gujarat, few districts have a low sex ratio. It's Ahmedabad, Khera, which makes a Charotar region, Lewa Patidas. Ahmedabad being an urban center, one can understand that there was a male selective migration, obviously. So sex ratio, urban sex ratio was skewed there. But in case of Charotar, the Khera district and surrounding area, including few blocks of Vadodara, you can see a Dangs, which is a tribal district. It is because of the out migration that you have a lower sex ratio there. Few area in Jamnagar and Porbandar, which is a coastal area in Saurashtra, and few blocks in Banaskantha, Patan, where again you have a landed community. They did not like having daughters in a family because once daughters get married, you have to give them an equal proper right. So landed community would never like to share their land with daughter's family. Obviously, there was an aversion towards daughters. Situation in 2011, the core area, the hotspots changed from center to southern areas, Kutch, Saurashtra, and number of taluks increased with a deficit women. This is all over sex ratio. We come to child sex ratio. (2000) 1991, because child sex ratio data are available only after 1991. Sex ratio wasn't looking that great in the map. But if you see the child sex ratio map, you'll realize that there are a number of blocks which has a very low number of females. Entire central Gujarat, number of blocks in Saurashtra, number of blocks in Kutch, number of blocks even in South Gujarat. So red, orange and yellow, all the districts indicate that there are less number of baby girls. Now you see 2011 map. 2011, except hilly tribal region in eastern Gujarat, the entire state has a lower sex ratio than normal. When in 1991, Amartya Sen mentioned, he coined a word called missing girls, missing women. And he said that 100 million missing women are seen, not seen, the global level. 100 million women are missing. Out of 100 million, 37 million were in India. You can estimate missing girls in Gujarat. This is just last census data. Now, when I talked about infanticide, I mentioned few castes. That it's not just the Rajputs or Patidas. Patidas are Patels. But there were Khatris, there were Jats, there were Kurmis, a number of other castes who also practiced. As the sociologists say, that basically the so-called higher caste are the trendsetter, the model setter. They are always imitated as a model. What happened is the hotspots changed from center, from core to other area. What changed is when you have a good roads, when you have a good transportation, when you have a good communication, culture also travel fast. The technology also travel fast. So because of the technology, I can connect from anywhere. That technology, if it is not used properly, can make things difficult for us. And this technology, which was only available to the urban centers, the technology of sex detection, has reached all the corners and all the directions in Gujarat, and it is changing the scene. We also calculated a missing girl data. I'm not showing that map here, but there were only 3 blocks in Gujarat which did not have a missing girl. This shows that cultural practice, which was common, a tradition which was common of killing daughters, has been replaced by a practice called female feticide. Now, why? That is what I mentioned, that hotspots have shifted from core to southern. Now, I would like to draw your attention to the southern areas. This is Surat in South Gujarat, the diamond industry. The interesting fact is when people travel and people migrate from from their place to other place, they carry their cultural values also, cultural practices also. Patidas from Saurashtra, who were always known for their doctor's preference, they went to Surat and diamond industry, and they altered the healthy sex ratio of Surat. And now Surat is the biggest hotspot, even worse than Ahmedabad, because of this phenomenon. There is interesting thing is there is slight change, there is slight improvement in core region. For example, in Khera. Now, Khera, what happened? As I mentioned earlier, that community which were only dependent on the land as their resource have they still have this preference for doctors. Charotar Patidas, they migrated to East Africa, and things changed because now they were not just dependent on the agricultural land. They have had some other occupational options. areas which were known for the daughter preference in core area, it shifted to other places. And because of the maybe government intervention, community-based organizations, and few job opportunities, that core region has supported a bit of improvement. 2011, 26 districts out of 70 have deficit female population. And Surat, as I mentioned, has a distinction of being on the top as the most female deficit district in the state. It has sex ratio of 788. And one of the blocks, Choriasi block of Surat, has only 644 female per thousand males. Yeah, the most alarming feature of the sex ratio is decline in child sex ratio. From 1991 to 2001, and 198 blocks experienced decline in child sex ratio, while only 25 blocks improved. There is a marginalized improvement. In 7 points from 883 girls per thousand boys in 2001 to 890 girls per thousand boys in 2011 census. The study also highlighted that patriarchy is not as strong in tribal society because they have a more open and liberal norms, marriage norms, there's marriage expenditure, there's no dowry, even second marriage is accepted. So daughters are not burdened. They all work hand to hand. It's not that the women don't contribute in economic, domestic economics. So they don't have that this preference as strong as we have. The other thing that I should mention is the more gender equality among them. So there is the aversion is invisible or very less. I have come across cases where in few tribal pockets also, the child sex ratio declined in tribal area also. And I was remembering the theory of renovation of Brahminization. Everybody wants to imitate the so-called higher ups. So there are few people who are staying in the urban area, tribal community, and have access and money to buy technology. They also have developed aversion towards doctor. In brief, with the availability of sex selection technology, strong son preference, and with the small size of family, because we all want either one child or two kids. If there has to be only one, it has to be a baby boy. And if there are two, then minimum one has to be. So all three factors have affected on a population composition. I would say that creating a social climate where doctors are not liability, but an asset would be the first deterrent. Why she should get married and settle at a place? What sociologically, in sociology term, it is called patri locality. When she is married, she goes to her husband's place. If she is qualified, if she is economically empowered, she should be able to support her mother's family, her father's family, her parents, because one of the reasons, old age security, that is also a biggest concern for not preferring a girl. And this is not the issue of women. What we call a other half Man also should be involved in this process. Awareness generation. We need to amplify the efforts. Sun preference is no more a regional phenomenon. It is a context specific and it has to be examined at a micro level. Education and economic empowerment are the important aspects. Unless and until we have a behavioral change, no government, no legal device, you introduce a law with a teeth, things are not going to change. Because unless and until whatever we have here and it does not reach your heart, things won't change. So, effective advocacy and communication is necessary to target social norms. More involvement of community based organizations, and we need a policy framework also. But yeah, we have experienced that legal framework has a very limited role to play, but it is more of a behavioral change that is required. Yeah, that's all. Uh, uh, was I making any sense?
Yes, ma'am, absolutely. Actually, the data that you gave us and the maps, uh, they are very heart wrenching to say the least. Because I myself am from Kutch. My native is Kutch, Gujarat, and I did not know about any of these demographics of Gujarat. And of course, this is not just the story of Gujarat. It can be.
Yeah,
It is just a. We are just looking at a microscopic thing. The entire India. Maybe some parts of India are better off, but still, this is the story of our country, and we have to work on it. I think
yeah.
you have done a wonderful job, ma'am, in bringing this out in the light and for making us understand what is actually going on and how we can try to, as you gave recommendations at the end. I think that is a very good approach, solution based approach towards a problem. So, thank you so much,
You
ma'am.
know, yeah, Manali, I met people, a middleman, who are into buying brides for those who do not find a right match. So in community like Jadejas, still Rajputs and Patidars, they buy brides from the undeveloped regions of India. So from Jharkhand, from a few pockets of West Bengal, they buy brides. And I was told that younger the girl, more the price. So when the country, entire country is worried about missing women, not just demographically, but every day there is the increasing crime against women. This also, the skewed sex ratio also plays an important role because there is a very interesting film, Matrubhumi. So if there are only two female left in this village, and what happens to them is the story of that film. I would suggest that everybody should be shown this film to sensitize it towards this issue because this would have a very long term repercussion. This is not just a time being thing, and maybe we see the change, but change is a very slow process.
Yes, ma'am,
Yeah,
absolutely. Actually, I'm aware of what you were saying about brides being bought. I have personally seen this happening because I don't know about West Bengal and Jharkhand, but I have come across some people who have come to Karnataka from as far as Rajasthan, and they marry their son with a girl from some rural area of Karnataka or some other South Indian state, and they take that girl back to their own state. And I can't even start to imagine how traumatizing that experience could be for a
Yeah.
17 or 18-year-old girl, or maybe even less than that. The age could be less than that also. So, as a girl of 26 myself, I cannot imagine locating the one thing that you said about battery location. I can't imagine leaving my house and going somewhere.
Yeah.
How would a small child of that age um, feel? And there is no one where she can express her feelings to. So it is really gut wrenching, because uh, these are the realities of our society and we can't stay blind to them for much longer.
Yes.
There is a comment here by Mr. Sukhdev. Matrubhumi is heart wrenching. It makes being a man shameful. Uh, yeah, I recommend, as ma'am has told, that all participants view this movie once at least. And there is
Yeah.
also one recent movie. Okay, it is mixed with comedy to some extent, but the movie is called Jayesh Bhai Jordar, and it also
Okay.
touches upon the topic of female suicide.
Okay.
So how a
Yeah.
father takes a stand and tries to stop his parents from killing his unborn daughter. That is a story.
Oh, that's interesting.
Uh, Sharmita madam has written a question. Dr. Sharmita Rai, a very insightful lecture, madam. Thank you. Could you please tell us some more as to how economic prosperity does or does not influence sex ratio adversity?
See, all the economists say that when you have a power to buy, there is an interesting story about grain revolution in Punjab, Haryana, and Rajasthan. Few parts of Rajasthan. After the Green Revolution, the crime rate increased. This is a first-hand experience and a field work experience. And few people were interviewed in Rajasthan, and they were asked, "What is your annual income?" So instead of answering directly, he said, "This year, if my son kills two people, murders two people, I can pay for that." The psyche changes. Then you have a money. So the prosperous states, people feel when money is available, people said, "Okay, yes, why can't we use the technology? It may be very expensive. We can go to." I come across people who now that because of the PCP and DT and all that, sex detection is not that easy.
Voice is breaking.
So yeah, is it? Is it okay? So am I audible now?
Yes, ma'am, no problem.
Yeah. So people go to Dubai to get sex detection done. This is what prosperity can do. If women are economically empowered, there was a recently very good verdict from Bombay High Court. Daughter is settled abroad, are very qualified, she earns well, but she does not support her old parents. And brother is not that qualified, he does not earn much, but he has to support his parents. So the boy, the son, moved the court and said, "Ki my sister, she is IIT qualified. My father sent her to USA to study well. We spent lot after a marriage. She is very well settled. She is doing good, but she does not shell a single penny." And the Bombay High Court came up with a verdict that it is equal responsibility. The doctors are also equally responsible for parents' welfare, old parents' welfare.
Yeah.
Many a times, even uh, judiciary can play a very important role. Here it is an example that if daughter is economically empowered,
Okay, okay.
if she is earning well, she can support her family out of her will or without. If she is not ready, then court has to intervene. If this happens, I'm sure people will start looking with a different angle towards them. Yeah, doctor is also equally responsible. She'll look after us. She will see to us when we are old. And yeah, we need to bring some social changes are required. Those, if your in-laws want you, fine. If your parents want you have a responsibility towards them also. So,
Absolutely, ma'am.
yeah.
Being a single girl child, I feel this very much because every daughter, it's not just the responsibility of a son. That is the first and foremost reason why son preference exists. Because everybody has a
Yes.
belief that only son will take care of the parents in their old age. So when that
Yes.
mentality changes, it will obviously girls won't appear to be a burden anymore.
Yes, because sun preference is a mirror image of a daughter's preference.
Yes, ma'am.
So, yeah.
Mr. Sukhdev has another question here.
Yeah.
Gujarat is also fighting an invisible war with invasive alien species like Prosopis juliflora. What is the future prediction of the trends of sex ratio in affected districts like Patan and Surendranagar?
Patan and Surendranagar are again very vulnerable blocks. Patan was a part of Mehsana district, where what you have a Jats in Haryana. We also have a Chaudhries in. It is believed that this Chaudhries originally immigrated from Punjab and Haryana to Gujarat. Patan and Mehsana Chaudhries. So they have a very deep rooted, strong dispreference. So Patan and Surendranagar both have both have this issue of doctor dispreference, and their low sex ratio is always been low, and Patan is still vulnerable block.
Thank you, ma'am. I do want to highlight some of the now since the technology has uh, improved and everything is very much sophisticated. The methods that are used for the killing of female fetuses or infants, they might have changed. But when we look at the history of female infanticide, because feticide was not possible during those eras, it is a very very sad story. Because in my MA, when we were studying the society of uh, the British era or the uh, before contemporary, uh, there were methods where a day old girl infant would be drowned in a pail of milk, or uh, the umbilical cord which used to connect her with her mother's womb is tied around her neck, and she's strangled with the same source that would give her life for so many months, became the source of her death also. They would fill cow dung in her mouth so that she couldn't breathe, or
Yeah.
she was buried alive. And it is just we have only changed the way of killing, but the killing remains the same,
Yes.
and that is really very sad. I think it should change. It will change. That is the hope. If anybody else has to add anything else, uh, Dr. Sharmita Rai has said thank you for your response. And Mr. Sukhdev has written, thank you so much, ma'am. It was a shocking and yet eye opening lecture. Agree with that. Absolutely eye opening, and we need to think much more about this. So, Nidhi is absent due to some technical glitch at her end. Ma'am, do you have any message for youngsters like me and Nidhi?
Yeah. Um, I would like to say you choose your own way. Don't let people interfere in your personal decisions. Of course, elders have a role to play, but it's ultimately your life. So, for all girls and young boys, I always say think before you do anything, because end of the day, you are responsible to the society. So, yeah, that's all.
Absolutely. Thank you for the wonderful message, ma'am. Definitely. we will be responsible for all our actions, and we will also do our little bit in sensitizing, in creating awareness among the various social groups uh, to the best of our abilities. I want to take this opportunity to propose a vote of thanks for this session and for all the preceding sessions. Today was another eventful day, and we had three wonderful lectures. Hi. Okay, so three wonderful lectures. Uh, First one on women, law, and social institutions, uh, in which ma'am very beautifully depicted about various social institutions like religion, like government, law, and so on, and how they affect the life of a woman. The second one by Dr. Mariam Shahida. It was also an eye-opening one, which not only India but the entire global scenario was presented in her session. And this session, obviously, very eye-opening and insightful. Thank you so much, ma'am, for accepting our invitation and being with us here today, and for spending your valuable time with us. We really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Manali. Thank you, Manali. Best wishes.
Thank you, ma'am. I also thank all our participants who have been with us since the evening and have been actively participating in all the discussions, including the paper presentation session and the previous sessions. Thank you all very much. Today is the end of the sixth day of this webinar. We just have one more day
Yes.
to go, and I can see the success in front of my eyes. It's just one day away. So, thank you all for being with us here. I also thank Ms. Nidhi Katti in her absence for moderating this session wonderfully. See you all tomorrow. Have a good night. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Recording stopped.